Also, as most of you know, I just spent some time in Nicaragua. Menno and I went to Nicaragua last week and spent a few days down there. So I just want to give you a little bit of an update about Nicaragua. Just want to spend a few minutes. I've got some pictures. We went down there first of all to just check up on some things and some projects we've got going on down there. We've been going to Nicaragua since 2009. One of the first things we did was we met with the committee who takes care of the microloans. If you remember, a couple years ago, we took down $2,500 and we put it into an account, and we have a team down there that oversees that. And the idea was to take that money and to loan it out in small loans to people to help start a business or improve a business. Because, how do we help these people get out of their poverty? It seems like they're locked in that poverty, and sometimes just a little bit of money to get them over the hump will make a big difference. So in this picture, the guy sitting at the end of the table, there's Antonio, and he's the guy that has been handling a lot of that. And sharp young man, he also works there at the Compassion Project, and he had a laptop computer. He did a nice spreadsheet for me. If you go to the next page, we got a spreadsheet. You can't read that, obviously, but he did a very nice spreadsheet of what they've done with that money over the last 2 years. And I was amazed at the results they've gotten. Out of that $2,500 that we took down, they've made 56 loans, okay? Average loan size is $187. Now, if you do the math, that's over $10,000 that they've loaned out, okay, from that original $2,500. So some of that money has come back in, and they've rolled it and loaned it out to new people. And so that's capitalism at work. And also through that process, to qualify for a loan, they have to go through some classes. Those classes teach them biblical financial principles, teach them how to save money, teach them how to tithe, and all these kinds of things. And so that's worked out really, really well. And I was really amazed at that. And, of course, my question was, okay, out of all those loans you've made, how many have defaulted? How many you're not going to get the money back? Because, even banks here deal with that, right? And so I discovered there's one for sure that the guy got a loan and somebody stole his money. And then he wound up moving to another community, and they'll probably never get that. There's another one that's behind on making his payments. He has made some payments, but he's struggling, and so they're still hoping they'll get that money. But and it was like $100 or something. It wasn't a big amount. So hopefully they'll get that back. And these people have used this money for. One lady just needed to buy some extra corn because she was making tortillas. One guy bought like one of these bicycles that it has a little cooler on it and go around selling like this little ice cream snack and stuff. Just a lot of little things like that, but it's enough to start making a difference. The next thing I want to briefly touch on is last year we had remodeled or put up a building for a sewing program where they can do some sewing there. Some of the ladies that come to the clinic don't have any means of making income, so they brought in some sewing machines, and these ladies are learning how to sew. And this is one of the ladies there with her child sitting there sewing. Well, they wanted to start making uniforms for Compassion. Compassion said if they make uniforms for the Compassion Project, they will buy those uniforms off of them. And so they've been practicing. They've made some uniforms, and for that particular project, it'll take 500 uniforms. And Compassion has said they will buy those from them. The problem they had is they didn't have the money to go out and buy the material to make the uniforms. And so we, through that microloan program, we left some funds there so that they can do that, so they can buy the material for the uniforms. It'll be a way for them these ladies to start making some income. They'll start getting paid some for every uniform that they make. And who knows where it can go from there. It might go to where we can supply other Compassion projects as well in the following years. So that's going well. Next, we went to check on the building program that was started last winter. This is actually the second location now. Our first location, we built a school, we built a church, and we built a clinic, and so forth. So we're kind of wrapped up there. There's always different things that we can do there. But so last year, when the teams went down, they started on the second project, and so this is the building, the front of the building. It's actually going to be a two-story building. This is the school, and they've got the first floor up, getting ready to pour the floor on top of that and go on up with the second floor. And then they're also starting on the office. Compassion has come out and told them if they get their office finished, they will officially recognize them as a Compassion site, and so they are working on that. And this picture, the guy on the left is Pastor Wenger. He goes out there and he works every day. And then there's volunteers that show up and just help him out. And most of the volunteers work, and he tries to feed them at lunchtime. Well, one of the guys, he was telling us about one of the guys that comes every day. He comes every day and volunteers, and all he gets out of it is his lunch. And but he was struggling financially, so we said, well, okay, well, how about we start paying him? Because we've done that in the past with some of the committed guys. We start paying them, and so we asked them what is a good wage for this guy? What's a good wage that we can pay him? We'll leave some money there with somebody we trust, and they'll pay him. And so they talked about it a little bit, and they came back to us and they said, well, we think $37. Now, you might think $37. Is that an hour? Is that a day? No, it's $37 a week. How many of you would want to work for $37 a week? And that's 5.5 days, 5.5 10-hour days. And they're excited to work for that. And we think, well, surely if that's their going wage down there, and that's really a pretty good wage down there, surely then their living expenses are less than ours. And I'll tell you, I've been to their stores down there, and you go to buy stuff in their stores down there, it's just as high as it is here or higher. How do you live on $37 a week? It's tough. It's a tough life. So we went from there also. Let's go to the next picture. As they were working there at that building, just off to the side there, they were feeding kids. They've already got kids coming to that project, and they're feeding them every day and giving them a Bible lesson and so forth right there in that project. The work is already going there. There's a church there, there's an established church there that we're helping out. From there, we went the following day out to Las Pinitas. Now, some of you that have been there have gone out to the beach, okay? That's at Las Pinitas where the beach is. We've gone out to the beach, and there's a restaurant there where we usually have lunch and so forth, a lot of times on Sunday afternoon or something. Well, right next, and I didn't realize this place was there, but there's some half-decent houses along the beach. It's kind of a nice area. Well, just behind those houses, you go up the hill, and there's this community up there of some of the poorest people I've seen. This is their church building, okay? We met with the pastor there. The pastor's been going there for 3 years. He has an established church there of about 20 members. And this is their church building. Now, you have to understand they're close to the beach. In fact, you can see the water from there. They're up on a hill. And they get tropical storms through there. Well, every time they do, their roof blows off. You can see part of it has some plastic on it now. And the houses look very similar to that. But at that church, they already have kids coming every day, coming for food. And they take them and they prepare some of that food. Remember some of that food that we prepared here last winter? They take some of that food and they serve it to the kids. And the next picture is their kitchen. This is where they make the food. They build a fire. They put a big kettle on the fire, and they boil get that up to boil, put that rice and and stuff in there that we packaged up, and that's what they feed the kids. Now, one of those, Tony was telling us about one of the projects that they'd started feeding that food to. They'd had the kids checked by a doctor beforehand, and 69% of the children were malnourished. After feeding that food for a short period of time, they had the doctor come back, and then only 4% of the kids had signs of malnutrition. So that food is very healthy, and it makes a huge difference for these kids. The next picture is kind of interesting. These are baby cribs. Okay? This is part of the church there. And they have kids come in there, and that's where they take their naps, in those boxes. And I believe the next picture is some of the food that we packaged up, or some like the food that we packaged up here. We actually had the opportunity to deliver some of that food while we were down there. We took some with us when we went from Managua up to Leon, and that's Menno loading the food in the back of a pickup truck as we were there. So things are happening down there. The churches are growing. Kids are being fed. Lives are being touched. Lives are being changed. We've been going now for 6 years, and I can tell you I can see a difference in the first community where we started working. I can see a difference where there used to be these stick houses with plastic wrapped around them. I'm starting to see houses with block, okay, and maybe even a concrete floor. We're starting to see some changes coming about in those communities. And so God has blessed in some amazing ways. But we need your help. We need your help to continue. And I think we should do another food pack like we did last year. Last year we raised $10,000. We packaged 35,000 meals right here in this room. And I'd like to see us be able to do that again. And I think it's important because before we did that, there was no food like this going to this particular part of Nicaragua. They were supplying other areas of Nicaragua, but not to this particular part. We kind of got the ball rolling going to Leon. And so now there's 3 different places that they're supplying some of this food to in the Leon area. So I think we should do that again. Also, there's going to be more money needed when the team goes down next winter in February to continue the building project and to complete some of the things that we've started. And now, of course, there's a third place that needs some buildings. And so we'll see where the Lord leads there. You know, I told the people when I left down there at the last church we were at, I said, I can't promise you anything. I said, but I know a God. I know a God. You know, when we started this thing 6 years ago, we had no idea where we were going. And we stepped out in faith. We took that first step in faith. We had absolutely no idea where we were headed. And God has supplied every step of the way. And I trust He will continue to do that. And however He supplies, that's what we'll do. And so coming up in 2 weeks, it's going to be another 5th Sunday. Every month that has a 5th Sunday, that last Sunday, 100% of the offering goes to the Nicaragua Fund. And so that will be coming up on August the 30th. Now, most of you probably noticed, maybe some of you haven't, that we don't really take up offerings here. And, you know, if you'll notice, there's offering boxes at the back that you can put your money in the offering boxes. There are several different ways that you can give. You can do that. Many of you don't use checks anymore or cash. You know, everything's done with a debit card or whatever. And so we've got that available too at easytithe.com/SRC. I think that's in your bulletin. And now there's another new one. We have a church app. How many of you knew we had a church app? Solid Rock Chapel app. If you've got a smartphone, you can go to your app store. You can download the Solid Rock Chapel app. There's information on there. There's a blog on there. There's the messages and audio on there. And then there's also a place where you can give. You can streamline your giving on the app as well. So all kinds of different ways to do that.